Keep skipping new Herrscher gear for Griseo gear. Did he post that on his After Dark channel? This one? Closing thoughts?
I think that might be the fastest on this channel, but I mean, it's kind of the Valkyrie of the update, so not entirely surprised. Okay, so we got Kevin 2, which this was pretty late. I think it's a pretty good thing to get.
Do you feel like Keebster's going through another burnout phase?
Could potentially be decent on her, I feel like. Setsuna was, it's interesting.
Skipping SP does feel very punishing nowadays, Gravity Moon.
On the 2-time Signet floor, I don't know why I got that. The most important thing was the Griseo rush, by the way. At the very beginning, you guys saw I had...
He's not skipping the Herrscher. He's just skipping the Herrscher gear.
I double Griseo to make sure it spawned more. This is basically, if you get full...
Early video. Do you have the timestamp for it?
That's basically... I mean, I know what I'm doing now, more so than I did before. I had a decent discussion in that previous recording, though, so we'll see where things go in terms of what my plans are. Basically, the whole way we're worried about our SP regeneration. The reason, this debuff thing, apparently we need to regen 40 SP first, or 40 SP very quickly or something. Basically, SP regeneration is super important. At least for me, though, I feel like the most important thing is getting your Griseos. The reason why is because Hyphatia is probably the biggest wall you'll ever have. So as long as you're able to get through Hyphatia, you're good, I think. We're going to be using the Foundry Weapon plus Handle. By the way, Handle, the reason why I have it so quickly is because Atonement plus Admona. But basically, I wanted to get a better run because I feel like it seems that Kevin...
Oh, the video quality is great.
Kevin 2 works pretty well with her if you get the other Igador. I'm not exactly sure if the last one I had was bad or anything. It was decent.
I wish Twitch supported a higher bitrate for encoding. I would love to stream at like, I don't know, 8 to 10K bitrate. That would suck for those of you mobile viewers, though.
Well, first of all, I am making a main channel video at this current moment, and I'm going to record it after this recording is done.
If you're confused why I have Aponia, I've just skipped her gear, same as Silverwing. Still need to spend crystals for Zenyi.
Mainly because I feel like the ideas are decently... I mean, they're easy to miss.
Most essential pull, yep.
This is a problem that I have, or mainly a lot of YouTubers have. Probably every YouTuber, right? Where people will misinterpret what you say and spread misinformation based on what you said, because it was too confusing, I guess. This is one of those things. I scrapped an idea because I felt like it would be too confusing, and also it's not necessarily something that... Okay, what do I take here first?
Currently, I can only consider HOF and PE under this category. While they gap ahead by quite a bit, they have weather.
My only goal
they have their weather happens least. True.
So yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, basically this is basically an idea where I feel like people could easily misinterpret it, and it's also not it's just not a good thing to talk about for new players. Basically, it's the concept that it's kind of decently important for veteran players. If you're not a veteran player, just ignore everything I'm going to say in this video. Just don't watch this video, basically. It's going to confuse you, probably. But I think there are two different types of Valkyries at this current moment in time. Or, you know, I should be more specific with this statement. There are two... There are actually more than two, right? There's probably three. There's three different types of S-rank DPS Valkyries, is what I'll say.
Alright, everybody turn up your volume on this.
The first one, which doesn't matter, are the free ones.
This is very important.
I would probably classify this like Alicia and Spina Astera. Obviously, they don't get as good of treatment from mihoyo, but they exist. I won't talk about them very much because this is like not as important because they're free. Or just reduced price. I guess reduced price is a better statement for this. Regardless, the other two Valkyries are. Well, first one is fairly important, which is the Spike Valkyrie or the Gap Up Valkyrie. So a good example of this type of Valkyrie is the Herrscher Flame Scion. The Herrscher Flame Scion has the reason why I call her a Gap Up Valkyrie is because on her boss, or her bosses, right? So there's more than one boss. So for example, Fire Heimdall or the Fire Tank or the what is it, Kasumi boss. No Valkyrie can come close to her at all. It's just a huge gap up, right? That's what.
And
That's what
Equinox
I'm trying to say,
especially. And
gap
that was
up
kind of
between
what
the
like Dea
bosses.
Ancora
So you don't
was
really have too
for a
much of an
long
option,
time,
right? In that
up until
regard.
HOS's release.
Another gap up Valkyrie, by the way, would be Palatinus Equinox. In my opinion, Red and Hot is what I'm going to take here. Just always. Okay, I would love you to give me. Yeah. Stars again. I'm prioritizing right now, and I will try and get the double here.
No, I feel like Keebster should put this on the main channel.
We'll continue the discussion after we get the double. Let's focus on getting our double here. We're gonna keep them in the circle. Okay. This is one thing that they've done is they've included psychic enemies for these double floors, so it makes it so it's super fucking easy for Aponia. Not surprising, by the way, that they did this. Not surprising in the slightest, but it is something that they did do. I'm not complaining. If I did this last week, I might have had a little bit more trouble, but here, yeah.
What's the hotkey? Forward arrow?
Because
5 seconds.
The tautology guy, you can knock out of his. Okay.
When does he start talking about this stuff again?
So like right here, it should be clean. We have 20 seconds, so I'm
Maybe it's after this floor, right?
I will. I think we need to go into this branch as much as possible. Like I need blue paint before Hephaestus, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, when this hits, I'll use my ult. Okay, so back to the discussion I was having, right? It was about Spike Valkyries, right? And Herrscher Flame Scion, and how I thought Palatinus. Now, the deal with Palatinus Equinox, guys, I feel like I think it's kind of controversial to call her a Spike Valkyrie too, which is what I was worried about saying this. But I think I personally think that she is a Spike Valkyrie. The reason,
yeah, Equinox just has such a huge gap.
Imaginary bosses come up in Abyss. She has a huge gap, guys.
She has such a huge gap.
Bigger than other bosses. It's one of the biggest gaps in the game. Now, my reasoning for this is okay. People tend to think that this is just another case. Oh, it's just Nirvana, guys. You can use Alicia in her imaginary enemies as well, but Alicia does a lot worse. Like it's a lot worse than PE. And people always get the impression that at least I've seen this point before from other people, is that you need everything. You need every single Valkyrie, all gear. You cannot skip anything for Nirvana Abyss if you want to compete at all. I'm telling you guys from a Nirvana player's perspective, this is not true. You can actually skip Valkyries. It is okay to skip Valkyries if you're a Nirvana. There are plenty of people that skip Valkyries. Okay, this is bad. This is actually a bad selection here. Okay, by the way, guys, I just want to let you guys know the third one only works on if you have type advantage, so it doesn't work on all enemies. But I'll go to the shop. Let's hope that we can finish up our Griseo. Come on. This is actually shaping up pretty nicely, which is good. Oh, this exhortation. First of all, what I'm going to do here is pretty good. Upgrade my Red and Hot to the Kevin. Right now, as I go Kevin to if I have an equal situation, I think I upgrade good, right? Seems good. We go to stars, we finish up. Okay. Enemies on this floor to be psychic, which is these guys so fast. So I will use this. So that was.
Does he go back up to that topic again?
But we're gonna use our weapon active first. If I love that, I mean hate it. Holy shit! I keep missing my. Whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to skip elves. I mean, it depends on your spending. Depends on your spending level, hop, right? Like, if you're trying to be as efficient as possible, then certain elves you'll want at like 2 stars or 3 stars.
Yeah, we could have done this a lot faster. Oh, I have.
If you can afford to 4-star a brand new elf on release, you might as well, because that will last for a long time.
Which is probably decently fast.
4 or 5 times on this video, so maybe after floor 8.
way, is the more typical case. This is what we would call a typical S rank.
Okay, so he does kind of talk about it here.
Fuck yeah. And Mobius felt like she was intended to be the Stargasm Nyx type Valkyrie, which is, by the way, is the more typical case. This is what we would call a typical S rank. Is the quality of life improvement Valkyries are balanced to be very in line with every other Valkyrie. However, also balanced to be a slightly improvement on everything. So it's just better in general if you have them. However, they're not necessary, you know. Aponia obviously is another example.
Yeah, Aponia is very skippable.
I think Mobius was intended to be this type of Valkyrie, but ended up being a Spike Valkyrie anyway, because Herrscher of Thunder just wasn't strong enough, I guess. Which I think was unintended. Is my thought process at this very moment. I don't think they intended for this to happen.
Yeah, Herrscher of Thunder shouldn't have fallen off as fast as she did.
So I don't think Mobius
and then Mobius ended up being such a fucking good value.
July Valkyrie, which is the Herrscher of the Year, and Chinese New Year, which Chinese New Year is usually a huge event. We're taking the third one here, right? Yellow and blue paints. Gives us 4,200 attack adaptive damage, which is insane, by the way. Okay, shop. We need to go to the shop. Let's see.
I don't think Aponia is needed. Well, I think, Rashad, I've stated this before. Aponia is very contextual, right? If you have Silverwing and Mobius, you don't need Aponia. But you don't have Silverwing, Rashad. Therefore, Aponia is needed on your account.
Okay, this is fine. I think I do want to buy something real quick. What do I want to buy?
I think you feel like Aponia is needed because you don't have Silverwing, Rashad.
It's gonna be up, right? So the breach. Okay, I have 40% breach now. I mean, like, why the hell not? Why the hell not?
Yeah, but it's not just the ice issue. It's range weather.
In terms of the buyable,
range weather is the only other use case that Aponia and Silverwing have the overlap.
Twined is decent, and I could potentially go for a Mobius build. I'm just not enthused about it. I'm certainly not enthused about silvers. I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, what was I talking about? I don't even remember.
Chakram is dependent on the Valkyrie, Epsilon.
Okay, I'll use this. I want to focus on getting the double here more than our discussion because I'm a little bit nervous about getting the double. Oh, actually, maybe not. Shit, man. I'll bite. Okay, let's group these guys. When it hits, there we go. And we just, I guess we just fucking do this. What's my damage looking like? It's looking...
Mobius counts as range.
I would say it's
but
above average.
Here's the thing, Mr. Whatever. Range Asaka type counter is Mobius. So Mobius you wouldn't run on that fight.
Yeah. So yeah, what I was saying, I honestly...
No,
I
Alaza.
Like
Aponia is not a summon entity.
Skippable. Like, legitimately. In the whole point of this, like, classification, by the way, is the only Valkyries I feel like aren't necessarily skippable because their bosses are too gapped are the Herrscher of the Year. The gap of Valkyries, right? So the Herrscher of the Year and Politics Equinox are the only characters in which, like, I feel like when their weathers pop up, you don't really have an alternative, right? But the problem here's the other thing that's I did mention this, right? Their weathers don't show up very much, so particularly for veteran players, it doesn't make sense to over prioritize any particular S rank, right? For example, right? The Herrscher of the Year, even though we're expecting her to be a gap up Valkyrie, which means she's gonna have a huge gap on our boss for sure. It doesn't matter, right? Almost 100% of the we're 100% expecting her to have a huge gap, right? By the way, the Herrscher of the hold up, let me finish this thought. Okay, so basically with the Herrscher of the Year, right? We're basically expecting her to gap up, but I honestly don't think if you don't have like the crystals for her, I think it's fine if you skip if you're a veteran. The reason why is because I feel like her bosses are not going to show up.
Yeah,
It's okay
I think that's what
to
happened with
gear
Flame Scion, where we
get
like
her a
we
little
thought
bit later. You know what I mean? I actually feel like it's okay to take a loss on her initial release.
Flame Scion
I think
actually
SP, I guess.
hold that thought though. Flame Scion was double edged, right? Because like Flame Scion was amazing for everybody who didn't have DA. But then everybody who skipped Flame Scion, especially on global, not for SCA, everybody who skipped Flame Scion on global, they didn't run Flame Scion rerun on 5.2. Global thought we were going to get a Foca Expa, but it was only for SCA and CN because that was their anniversary patch. Global got fucked if you skipped Flame Scion early on. Because we didn't get our Expa Foca until Christmas.
Yeah. I really need a Kevin.
Yeah, Flame Scion stole a lot of Herrscher of Thunder's bosses because of the type similarity, right? Even though it was elemental difference,
I really would
the
have
type
preferred to go
similarity,
for it, but
we saw a lot of like new 840s and 893s and eventually and
Actually,
946s with that.
fuck, dude. I didn't really love that turn of events, but I mean, hey.
Vasi Bakasi, I wouldn't re-roll yet. I would
Oh
maybe
yeah, it's
once you
okay to
get
skip.
to 80, you can re-roll a
At least
second
for
account
me, okay,
to
guys.
be your main
My
account's cadet
current
account
plan
and use that as a test of your knowledge.
is to skip the Herrscher of the year's gears. The reason is because I don't foresee her having her weather show up that much. I think it will actually show up only like once per update, which is what we saw with the HOF, as well as PE, by the way. PE, the imaginary bosses actually do not show up at all. Like, literally, if you look at the last two patches, they didn't show up very much. Like, once per update, maybe twice. Twice is like the limit. Whereas the normal, typical S rank Valkyries, their bosses show up 3 times per update regularly. Okay, take the first one, and we need
Yeah,
to
like
finish it.
Mobius.
And I think Sakura 1 makes more sense than Sakura 2.
Does he talk about it during the
Let's
shop, or does
take
he just talk
let's
about the
go to
signets?
the shop, obviously. I need to finish a Kevin here stat. I think. If I want the best chance of possible getting the double to complete our Kevin set, then I think I keep my sigil, right? Because Griseo is still pretty. I think. I just want to get it. Lucky game. Stansma? Oh. Okay, unless it doesn't. Oh, there we go. Easily. All right. Good enough. So now with Kevin, the thing about it, I do want the SP per second. However, I don't counts as ultimates. I actually say that I already say that I was prioritizing. Oh wait, this is the shop. Okay. Yeah, did I say that I was prioritizing Griseo's gears over the Herrscher of the Year's gears? Yeah, I think that's actually a valid argument. To be honest, I genuinely feel that is the case. What do I? Okay, I cannot buy anything, so it must be that to upgrade the. I don't actually think that it makes sense to go for Fuhua upgrades because. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to go for Fuhua upgrades. I typically get hit, so the Kevin upgrade makes the most sense. Okay, unfortunately, there's not another thing I can upgrade, so I guess the breach is okay. I will go for Vil V, I think. Oh, I do have a charge of Griseo, but I mean, it's still kind of cringe. So I guess we change to Vil V here.
Hey,
And
Princessity's here.
I suppose the best thing I could possibly get is the max SP upgrade because I do have Eden. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. Because we have Kevin too, we'll max out our SP, and then Eden technically gets helped a little bit. I don't know. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. Yeah. Should be good. Oh, I should have switched off. Yeah, God, I should have switched off LE. Whatever, it's fine.
You know, if it were me, I would have still been running Blood Rose.
It's fine. The only improvement I could have gotten is Blood Rose, which is not a big deal.
Well, yeah.
It's really not. And you know what? Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Maybe Lightning Empress is actually worse or better. Sorry. I'll just use this over and over. Fuck it. last run, by the way, was kind of mid. Okay, I think it disappeared. I don't understand why the clock is like so tanky. That's super weird. You would think that Aponia does a good job with the clock, but it's why are you?
Is Blood Rose good? As a support, it's nice because it's a 60% total damage multiplier when you use it in Elysian Realm, Basi Bakasi.
Because I want the charge attack for the gears. That's the
Yeah,
only
I don't
reason.
want to skip Griseo gear. I think Griseo gear is going to be good even after the version 2 tunings. And the weapon is just super good too. The only problem is like
Okay. Well,
how
it
you
must be
gonna
fast
tell
across
new
both
players
ways,
not to
Doesn't mean
save
it's
up for the
fast.
Herrscher though?
You know what I mean? Now we go for Mobius. And we should easily finish because we have full Griseo, right? It should be easy. Okay, okay. Should I use my... I wonder if I should use it right away, though.
What does Griseo give that's better than Paganini? Paganini requires charge attack.
Maybe
Griseo's
not.
gonna
I'm
be
gonna
like
save
more
my ability for
constant
the
damage and
small ones,
stuff.
'cause
It's
it'll
more buffs.
wipe
It's a
them out very
different set of
quickly,
multipliers.
unless I need it for the first phase to do it cleanly. Not entirely sure. At this very moment, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll find out very quickly, I suppose. I'm guessing after this ult, they're gonna get wiped out. Or she's gonna get wiped out. What the hell? Like, it just feels like my damage is inconsistent. What the fuck? Shouldn't I do a lot more damage here? Oh, okay, that's fine.
Mm,
Oh, there we go. Oh,
well,
summon
he's
girls
still
love
gonna
it.
get the
They love
Herrscher hop.
everything.
He's still gonna get the Herrscher.
Please summon your smalls.
I think for new players, you should also still prioritize the SP gear too, because the SP gear will carry the account. Even if you're using free-to-play DPS, SP gear will carry the account. I could be using Night Squire with Griseo support, and my Night Squire will just slap so fucking hard with Griseo support.
Okay. We should be doing this pretty fast here, I think. We have all 3 paints on her.
Herrschers have traditionally been very good value with free-to-play gears too. You remember Keebster's old Herrscher of Thunder videos? But does she free-to-play?
Honestly, it's been a long time since I have an easy time with the character, but it is a breath of fresh air, I would say. Imagine balding the cat gacha because your character is so damn weak. Holy shit. I think I'm more satisfied with this run than the last. I don't know if the commentary is potentially worse, but I got out, I think, everything I wanted to say. I think the discussion probably was confusing for you guys. I didn't really elaborate myself very well, I would say.
Newer players to skip this video? Really? I don't think newer players should skip the advice.
I just don't think...
Because if you go back to his...
The
How can he... No. You can't just say for newer players to skip this advice, because if you go back to his latest Valkyrie investment guide, this is the thing that separates the pros from the Joes. You invest in support gear. It's an open secret at this point, right? Like, you guys have been here long enough. The only time I recommend that you skip the SP gear is if you're playing from a collector standpoint and you want the S rank. Which is, and half the time, those of you that are collector standpoint going for the S ranks, you are still halfway competitive in the meta, aiming for at least Red Lotus retention. There's no way that we can just tell new players to skip SP gears because it's good value. Even if you're not a veteran, I still think, like, Paganini was big stonks. Right? Paganini was big stonks. Griseo's big stonks. Bastet's fucking amazing. Ace, always glad to have you here. Yeah, SP gear is godly. You can definitely afford to skip a lot of S ranks if you just do the SP gear.
I guess it's okay to skip Valkyries more than you would think. Like, for example, I feel like I should have skipped Nyx. I think I could have gotten away without pulling Nyx. Me pulling Nyx was kind of just like, it was a regret of mine. I have a bunch of regrets, and I feel like the game has been changing to a point where It's becoming a lot more flexible, and you can kind of just choose whichever DPS you'd like best.
I'm actually intrigued that he feels this way because I've been feeling the opposite. I've been feeling, and maybe it's just because like I'm coming from a budget player that hangs out in Red Lotus more often than a Nirvana retainer. I feel like the game, the further in Nirvana that I go, I feel like the more specific the fights end up. Because in Red Lotus, you could do whatever you want to clear the content and even plus and even top 3. I feel like the game is getting to the point where if you want a safe like top 3 in Nirvana, right? Like not just last minute hoping that you get bracket lucky for 4 and 5. You need to have the right solution. I feel like 2020 metas was much more flexible in the terms of like, or 2021 meta, you had much more flexibility.
I'm curious the clear time here. Be very interesting to know. 14 is it's decent. I kind of think that was good enough. I think that might be the fastest on this channel.
Nyx was too good on release, but Nyx also kind of got slowly replaced faster than a lot of people expected for an S rank. I feel like on SCA I only really use her for the quantum weather now though. I feel like I think my biggest concern now is just like I miss having a traditional A rank DPS where you already know that she's gonna be your second best solution on a given fight or weather or type, right? Like she's not gonna top score, but at least she'll get you far enough. So that's the one thing I really miss. Like yesterday when we were doing the Danzai run, or like every chance we get to play a Asuka on any boss or fight. Still retain top 100. Yeah, plenty, Alaza. But usually it's because they earn their. So what happens, Alaza, is they'll skip a Valkyrie, and they'll take the loss on that one weather, but they'll make back the trophies on a different weather. Yeah, RC does good. I think Griseo will be fine as like a nice like side type physical melee. I mean the fact that she gets a pry arm at all means that you can main DPS with her. Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of the Valkyrie of the update, so not entirely surprised. Okay, so we got Kevin too, which this was pretty late. I think it's a pretty good thing to get if you have the Ego Door. Eden could potentially be decent on her, I feel like. So that's
Yeah, but and Anagma. Honkai was already trending this way before Genshin's release. Honkai was already trending this way before Genshin's release. You think about when Starlit Astro Logos came out. That was springtime, late spring, early summer of 2020. Genshin was still in beta at that time. Griseo has a pry, yes.
now was it's interesting. Uh, yeah, this was kind of luck on the 2-time signet floor. I don't know why I got that.
I do feel like overall the game is better now compared to how it used to be, but like I feel like skill expression wise, there was more stuff you could do back then that used to define like you could define a player's playstyle by what you knew they were capable of and the types of strategies that they would run.
The most important thing was the Griseo.
And yeah, I feel like here's an interesting thing is that with Eden has a higher skill expression than Aponia. Aponia's skill expression is deciding if the rotation lets you combo before ult or if you need to ult first before combo in order to catch a damage cycle, like to catch a damage window. That's as much skill expression on Aponia, which makes Aponia very much like Silverwing in a boring mechanical sense. Um, yeah, and I would say Kronos, along with that thought in response to Andonogma, is that mihoyo has done a great job making gacha much more mainstream by being willing to do PC ports on their mobile games. Because if you think about it, what's the biggest complaint of all the Honkai competitors? They don't want to do a PC port. Right? Aether Gazer has so much potential, but they want to play it safe in the sense that they just want to yeah, PGR is another great example. PGR and Aether Gazer could have so much potential if they do a PC port on their global release, but they want to play it safe. Which, like, okay, I get it, right? They don't have maybe the internal infrastructure within the company to support a PC port like that. The way that they don't you guys have phones? Oh fuck. So on one sense, I do agree with Keebster. Uh, I think a lot of players should feel like, they should feel like skipping Volks is okay because it is. I do it all the time on my budget account. It just so happened that my budget account got super lucky on HFS, so those crystal savings allowed me to get Mobius. And the part of the reason I got Mobius and Equinox on the budget account was that they lined up with the spending event. I think if an S rank is releasing on a spending event, I think that's a good reason to try to pick them up, right? Assuming that you're mostly caught up on meta. Sure, if you're still working on infrastructure, you better be getting your HOS and gear from that spending event.
Rush, by the way, at the very beginning, you guys saw I had the Griseo. I had double Griseo to make sure it spawned more. This is basically, if you get full Griseo, you just win. So that's basically the entire goal here. Just get full Griseo and you win. I don't think anything else is as important as Griseo. You just win if you get that. The Kevin 2s and the Setsnas and the Aponias and the Mobiuses and all that, it's just kind of extra, you know?
Yeah, I think if Starter Banner just operated as a full straight-on Expa style and it was just HOS, I think that would be better. But I feel like the current setup with Flame Scion and HOS is much better than Herrscher of Thunder and AE.
It's great that we got this. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. I will be working on my main channel video.
I skipped Aponia on my free-to-play Ace Turner.
We'll see. Soonish. We'll see.
I think right now my main account, I'm not at the level where I can afford to skip S ranks anymore. But we'll see. That probably is going to subject to change in the future. So yeah, that's great. I wish Keebster would consolidate his thoughts and make a video for his main account.